I think CPI is going to largely dictate what's going on. I don't think Jolts is going to exactly reverse any of this downtrend. There's opportunities for this stuff to happen. At the beginning of the week. I just don't think today is going to do it. We're in a 4-hour gap. Like I can just see 50 million bearish arrays. We got a sweep right here. We're retracing into a bearish gap. Like, I fully expect today to kind of be choppy. I fully expect today to not move much. I don't see anything that I want to engage with, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. This is not a trade I want to. Really, today's not a day I want to trade. I'd rather trade tomorrow. I think out of all CPIs, I think this one's going to matter the most because what is everybody moaning and groaning about? It's inflation, like right now. That's what everybody's complaining about, at least in the media, right? So I think because of that, it's the perfect excuse for price to then, reprice to whatever it needs to. But I don't think today will be the day that we break out of this downtrend. What do we have? This little gap right here. That's it. There's zero. There's not really much I'm looking for here, right? The fuck. Boom. Boom. So just respect the bearish order flow. We have the open right here. We'll keep the 60-minute right here. I guess I could just keep it how I had it. When you look at it from this perspective, there's not really many levels at all. Like if you're on the 5-minute, maybe you see something. I don't see shit. I mean, I understand we're right at the new day opening gap for NQ, but even YM looks bad. It all looks bad right now. Yeah, I guess everyone's sleeping today. I definitely slept more, knowing that Jolts is at 10. I'm going to sleep more on a day like this because I was just fucking backtesting all night. Just looking at charts. But again, I don't want to trade this regardless. Like I do not want to trade this. I'll still sit here. I'll go through charts because it's good habit. It's good repetition, but this is not something I want to waste money on, especially if like, for you made money last night. You had what, 70 or 100 points or something like that? God damn. So how close are you to passing that thing? That's still a lot. It's a big ass move. Yeah. I mean, well, welcome back. It's a good little getting back into the flow of things, but we could look at some lower time frames here. I mean, yeah, none of this is what I want to trade. So we're rejecting that bearish gap still. But the 15 is just, it's right there. Yeah, it'll come quick though. It'll come quick. Like you're someone who would do well in an instant funded because you You haven't blown that. You've had this for fucking ever. You know, there's people who like will not do well with those, where they just go through them every fucking 2 minutes, right? I mean, it could be worse, that's for sure. I just tell everybody, I'm just like, yeah, just wait. I got you in like a month. We'll be able to use something like this right here, this platform, with all the risk settings. So you're stabbing into this 15-minute gap. I mean, maybe you see a reaction here. Maybe, right? 5-minute about to close. But you see this, yeah, it's kind of rejecting all these top wicks too. I think today's the day that like people are going to want to see movement, but it's not going to happen today the way that it needs to. Boom, boom, boom. So the last stream I posted yesterday had background music from my mic at like in like 3 or 4 points, and I've just had to go through and just like pry out, like I had to edit it all out. At least you're able to do it on YouTube, but fuck, it's like I'm like, just take all the music out. I had to do it one by one. Yeah, this open does not look clean, that's for sure. We'll look right here. You got MES working lower. There's your 1 minute. Maybe you short this, right? I mean, it's just, that's not my trade. I don't want to really short into this gap. Would that be your target? But I don't think this bullish action is going to represent anything today, like from Asia. Wow, we swept prior day low, right? That's pretty much it. Is this really all we need? Like, I don't think so. I think we need a stronger trade idea. But the rule of thumb is directly before CPI is going to be, by definition, a lesser probability day. Like, it's going to not generally work as easy as it should. CPI, especially right now, is a big fucking deal. Same with all this FOMC stuff when it will come up. Like, it's all a big deal right now. From what I was reading on Twitter, the move that happened yesterday from like, right here to what happened after hours, if that happened during the market, it would have been like 1% away from like a limit down kind of situation where they hit the circuit breaker and the market closes. So dramatic. Like the one of the $1.5 trillion was erased yesterday alone. 1.5 trillion. That's basically Apple. Like, that's a big fucking deal. So I don't think necessarily today's going to be it's not going to be super springy. It's a lot to deal with. Maybe you find an entry here for something up here, right? Like the new day opening gap again. But I'm just going to chill today. Look at your time frames. There's your 15-minute. So 15-minute might be giving you a decent shot at London highs. You obviously have jolts in, I don't know, less than 30 minutes, obviously. 22 minutes. So we're seeing a little bit of a pullback right here. This 15-minute candle, I mean, if you're bullish, you'd want to see it hold pretty strong. I don't necessarily think anything really needs to be done here. I mean, if you are getting involved in a trade for the upside, obviously I would say London high is pretty much like the cap you'd want to have in mind. But yeah, as far as structure goes, yeah. Not a fan. Not a fan. Play with this, what you can maybe use the order block. Man, the target's just so close. It's like right there. 1.8, 1.5, 1. If you entered here, have your stop. Not the best trade I've seen. It's hard to determine where you'd even put your stop. Because if you put it right here at the bottom of the body, you got hit. If you put it right here, it could potentially stab into the lower gap and get hit. It's just not a good setup overall. From here to there, but this 5 minute will probably retrace a little bit. We'll see. If there was like more meat on the bone, maybe you could reach higher, but I don't even think this holds really. It doesn't convince me too much. The fair value gap, sure, it held right here. But when you have two gaps, your stop has to kind of keep in mind both gaps. Or if you just use this, it's like then you can use a swing low for right here. But it's barely 2R. So I don't even consider that to be worth taking, in my opinion, because it's not even that clear of a signal. If this was like an 80% certainty or 85 or 90, then yeah, go for it. But to me, it doesn't even look like it's going to hold. Like it might hold, right? It might be really jagged too. Yeah, you're inside the 5 minute candle. Like it's that lower high right there. Let's see. Right here. So it's easy that it's an easy scenario, or it's possible where it could just stay inside the previous candle. But yeah, like I said, I'm not convinced on that trade. I wouldn't bother taking it personally. Because if you're in this gap, wow, you got like 2 points of displacement and then it stabs lower. This inside bar is really what I was thinking. See, now you're referencing this lower gap. It's probably going to invert this, honestly. I don't trust this. You know, we just swept out, look, we just swept out some highs right here. Boom. You sweep these, make this in red. You got this inversion that's now being referenced from, what is this, the 1 minute? Yeah, the 1 minute. Yeah, it doesn't look too hot. Doesn't look too hot. It does looks like the start of a potential sell setup, but I mean, this is such a big move right here, so I wouldn't expect that. It's gonna be lots of back and forth, I think, today. So yeah, NQ swept out that 5 minute high, but ES did not sweep out the 5 minute high, like the previous candle high. So that's like a minor SMT right there. Yeah. YM's weakest at low of day. NQ seems to be relatively stronger today. If you want to look at micro NQ, seems to be relatively stronger, right? Like it was a bigger push. We look at the hourly right here. Like it's just not a good trade to me. None of the structure is amazing. Maybe that's your target up there for NQ. This 703, 706. I'm good on it. Because you're going to have in 16 minutes, you'll have jolts So it's either you have an entry where there's no risk attached to it or minimal risk going into Jolts. But I don't think Jolts is going to be like this savior today. Personally, that's not my opinion. I don't think so. Yeah, so a great example. So even though there was a 30-second gap, it came back and referenced the lower gap or the 1 minute or the inversion, however you want to look at it. It's all the same price, but it dug deeper is my point. It dug deeper. So it's like you couldn't get this entry. I didn't think the entry was good. I didn't think the swing point up here was good. Like nothing about it screamed high probability to me. Like when you're talking right here, I would not take this trade. That's why I didn't. I just won't. Because I've seen this happen too many times. And it's like maybe this is a decent trade, but even then I don't really want to do it. Again, that's an easy target that you'd have, but not for me. Yeah, 15-minute candle closure in 20 seconds. So yeah, NQ it worked. NQ it worked. That's good. There's 0 trades here for ES though, that's for sure. Notice this, it's like I'm telling you this gap isn't strong and you're not seeing it move. Like you're not seeing really any clear displacement really quick. There's just characteristics here that I don't like at all. So like this is a setup. You want to learn which setups to avoid. I've been going through fucking, I don't even know how many days. Like months at this point. The last couple of days I spent 3 hours like on back testing. Like on the charts moving, not working on it. I spent probably 4 or 5 doing notes and everything, but I've seen a lot of these setups play out. The best ones don't normally look like this. You know, this is a box. That's what we're dealing with right here. Yeah, this. And we've swept this side and swept this side. It's not exactly the strongest chart I've ever seen. And mind you, if you're in this trade, we're talking 12-point stop. Get out of here. I'm not doing that for fucking the same upside. Yeah, it's like it's very, very 1-to-1. And it's like 40% probability that it works, in my opinion. NQ gave you a little stronger of a push. But, you know, as our friend posted in the chat, in the wins, in the Discord, his trade was just to the swing high. So that happened automatically off the open. Boom. That trade's already done, you know? This little inversion right here. That's fine. You could do that. But, you know, you pair it with a sweep of a low, target an internal point, this fair value gap. That's good enough. But looking for just broad continuation is going to be harder. You know, we're going to, not at this point at 9:47 a.m., you're probably going to have to wait for jolts. And I don't find this to be super high probability. Yeah, I fully anticipate this chop. You got ES actually moving higher now, which isn't terrible. I mean, it's just not a trade I'd be able to take. It just doesn't fit any of my criteria. Let's see where my charts go. It just doesn't fit my criteria. The risk does not outweigh the reward. I don't know. Based on the chart, right? You got maybe London high as your peak. This is the gap area that you're running into. So if you're entering here, maybe your stop was at the swing. That's 10 points, and then it moves 10 points, right? And then it can easily reject here. We've seen how many times this little gap from, like, again, I'll show you right here. This new day opening gap between the new days, the old day and the new day, that little gap. We see how this thing will reject there a lot, or it'll bounce and it'll hold and then it'll flip below and then flip above. So it's a very sticky area in price. You have high impact news in 11 minutes. Maybe this works out great for you. It's just not my trade. The likelihood of this working, in my opinion, is just not great. You know, you had just all this back and forth. I don't like to see that. I'd rather it be a clean pullback. It's very jagged, sweeping highs. So it's just, there's a lot of counter signals. Hourly does look good though. I'll say that. Looks a little better. Hourly on NQ is insanely strong. So NQ is the leader today for sure. Look at that. YM's the weakest. ES is in second. NQ's in first. So that's cool. On NQ, it does look better. ES looks like dog shit. You see the difference on this 1 minute chart right here versus MNQ? MNQ is a trade I'd consider for sure. For sure. Just because this displays so much more. Getting above here, and like I said, 703 would be potentially a target for NQ. However, I'm hands off today. It's easier to just wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a more, I don't know, it's going to be 20 times more important than today. Jolts means nothing when, you know, the entire world's crying about tariffs and inflation and all this nonsense. Like, that's what's driving this market lower. Oh, no, tariffs. Like, it's just, that's all you hear. Everyone say, oh, inflation's going to be so bad. Whatever. Right? But we need to get that news out of the way. Ideally, post CPI, maybe we get some sort of deeper dip and then we can rally, right? That'd be nice. Stop everyone out from here. But I really doubt. I don't think maybe 5,700 today is a cap. I just don't think we're going to move that much higher today. I feel like we can easily reject here and then run the lows. Dig into this. And then, yeah, you want to be watching these gaps right here because I think these are going to invert. Something like this, because we're at a level. At a level, we have a gap. I'd watch this to be a potential inversion. 15 minutes kind of giving clue that it might. 5 minutes is not strong, so I think someone would try to buy this and then you get stopped out. It's just the context of it all. We're sweeping into these highs. We have the new day opening gap. We have high impact news. It's just, it doesn't look great. Have this lower gap right here as well. Draw this out. Inside bar on the 5. Yeah, it doesn't look great. I've seen better. Even though NQ does look stronger in the hourly, it's very possible that the second hour of the New York session gives you an inside bar, right? It could just fold over again. So again, you see a reaction here. This is not a trade I would take. I'm expecting to invert right here. So it's clear, expecting this to invert. I don't expect it to hold. It doesn't look like a trade I would want to take ever. It looks like a trade that I would lose money on. So part of understanding what these levels are is knowing when they might fail. Like that, how else are you going to have a good strategy if you don't know when the setups fail? This is everything I tell you guys. It will fail here because we're into a level. I mean, fuck, we can even start stacking some levels, right? We have this resistance right here. Okay. We had this new day opening gap, this one right here. New day gap low. I don't even think you could see it. Yeah, either way. This blue line, that's a new day gap. Put up on the 15, new day gap right there. Yeah. Yeah, new day gap low. Steel. It's just not a good trade. So eliminate options. Process of elimination with this stuff. You don't, because if everything's a trade, nothing's a trade. It's very clear that this is going to fail to me. Which can be annoying, right? Because, the new trader or someone who's just looking for a consistent entry, they're like, oh, see, it's a fair value gap. It broke above. And it's like, yeah, but it's just not a great spot. It's just the opposite of what happened at the open. Like if you flip the chart, look, wow, you stab lower than run it. Okay. And then this one, wow, it stabs lower than runs higher. It's just chopping back and forth. Like I said, look, we just completely undid the last 15-minute candle. Like it's a mirror. To me, they're playing mind games. That's the shit that's going on. Just fuckery. So you can either get trapped buying this fucking wick right here, right? You get trapped up here and then they send it lower. Go for that. Or, some people tried shorting down there and they send it higher in the beginning. Just doesn't look great. Look at this. 5 candles lower. This is how you know this gap is not good at all. It's a very common gap that will fail. I see people take this one all the time. There's not much going for it. It's not much going for it. You're much better buying this pullback right here than this. This right here is just into resistance. Yeah. I mean, realistically, that inversion did move well. Everything else looks like shit. I agree. But that inversion trade, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I feel like at this 56.07, you might have been able to get 2R. It's not my trade, that's for sure. I don't like it. But I do think that might have worked. I do think that was probably one of the better trades for today. It just depends if we get this level, right? So kind of structure out the risk reward. I wouldn't take it personally. But maybe this candle to here, down to, yeah. Yeah, you could have done something like that. That would have been fine. Just not for me. I'm good on that. Nice little flip, but it needs to get here. So you have basically 3 minutes until some pretty decent high impact news. I'm sidelined. I will not take a trade. I do not want to. The consistency comes from having a clear idea. You want clarity of thought, clarity of execution. So I'm not unsure if I want to take a trade today. I don't want to. I'd rather wait for tomorrow because of all of the reasons I listed in the analysis in the Discord. Yeah, YM's pushing low a day. That's pretty important to see. And then there's ES. It's pushing towards that swing low that I talked about. With a short potential that I was like the setup I was mentioning, I would not be looking for like low of day necessarily for my target. I would take it off at this 56.07 if I was taking that short. Where I said I would expect this to invert, my target would be 56.07. Ideally, you get that before the news because jolts can easily rip it higher. Just because, like, look at the 15, we're just back and forth. But basically, no bottom wick. This one last minute or 1 minute candle, this last one right here. No bottom wick means I think this thing's going to flip lower. See, no bottom wick. We have 37 seconds. I think it flips lower and tags this level before 10 a.m. That would be my best guess. We're at 9:58. Notice how the volatility is starting to pick up right here, right before the announcement. We have basically one more minute candle. Mind you, if this leaves no bottom wick, it will be the only candle right here during the New York session with no bottom wick. So it's unlikely to see that stuff. The only candle in 30 minutes with no bottom wick at all. NQ's weak. NQ just created a bearish fair value gap. It's got like a little inversion, balanced price range at the highs. It's just stabbed higher and gave back that rally. So see, now this is starting to get weaker. And I mean, it's probably just going to push towards prior day low, if I'm being honest with you. It makes the most sense. Let today kind of hold during Asia, give it back during New York. That's just what I'm thinking. It doesn't have to, though. You know, I don't have high hopes for anything today. Yeah, see there, it ran it. And now it's running the actual, almost. It left equal lows. NQ did not run it. YM's at low of day, but I think it's just going to continue lower. Pretty clear sell setup. I mean, we called it out up here, so expect it to invert. When something's going to invert, that means you can sell it. So that would have given you a decent trade, almost to the lows. So like I said, 56.07 would have been my level. I would not have wanted to aim for this as a trade, just because it doesn't have to be reached. It doesn't have to. This is an easy trade. From here to here, we measured it out. That would be 2R. That's a good trade. That's a trade. If I took this right here on this candle that I showed you right here, boom, put my stop right there, I would have targeted that low. That's the risk reward tool that I drew out. Anything else, I'm good on that. It's important to note that we did, wow, interesting. Okay, so NQ tagged midnight open exactly on the low, which is interesting. So we sweep out this high right here. ES, yeah, that's midnight open for ES. Let's see, where's midnight? Blue line right here is midnight open. So we swept the highs. We almost swept the lows. What are we doing, guys? We creating a range? We kind of rattling the range? I feel like that's kind of what we were saying this was going to happen. Like, we said this would happen. Very ugly stuff. So it's I've traded enough of these days to know which ones I want to trade and which ones I want to fucking avoid. This is a day I want to avoid. This is a day I want to avoid. 100%. 100%. So you had one decent trade opportunity using this inversion. That's all I see. And also, I guess the long off the open, one of our boys caught with NQ is a little better. Yeah, very choppy day, just it's a blender mode. And then now you're going to probably run that low, obviously. A lot of people got destroyed today, like I said. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it wasn't a bad idea to avoid it. I mean, maybe you could have found a trade. Maybe you could have made something work, right? Like I know I said that gap, the bullish fair value gap to the highs was kind of garbage, but I mean it kind of moved. But that's the thing; it's not going to work all the time. So on average, it's better to avoid days where there's like 4 or 5 things. And mind you, when I put in my analysis, I said pre CPI, unconfirmed daily low, Asia expansion, London highs were swept before New York. Like that's 4 fucking things that don't look good. So if I see 4 things right off the bat that do not look great, I think I'm okay. I think I'm gonna avoid it. I think I'm gonna sit out. If it's one, I can argue maybe it's worth it. But yeah, here you are, just resuming lower, like we said. That was legitimately what we're saying. We said it's more than likely going to keep selling, right? But for our trade that like was discussed, it would have been for that one target right there. That's 607. I personally believe today finishes weaker so that it can sell off even more into CPI, and then we can see some sort of crazy bounce once everybody's hopes and dreams are done. That's what I think. It kind of sucks, but I think that's what's going to happen. Because like, what are we doing? Look at the daily. Like, what's going on? You really think we're going to bounce right here? Just yet? You don't think we're going to take out this one, September 6th low? Like, I think this could get a lot more crazy. Unfortunately, I don't want it to. I don't like losing money, but it's just a reality. The short-term trading stuff, whatever. Long-term positions, they will recover. But yeah, I think it's going to sell more. I think it's going to bleed more. It sure as heck ain't ready to go right now. Like, not today. The daily candle is not strong enough. There's not long enough wick. We're in that 4-hour bearish fair value gap, like we said. What's the likely scenario for a setup like this? Doesn't matter the time frame, right? Pull it up, rally, resume lower. This would be your external low. Break this with force, sell off harder, right? It's a trend. It's a trend. This would be counter trend. The short would have been aligned with the trend right here, this inversion for this level right here. Super risky because it had to hold through CPI, but it hit. Or not CPI, jolts, but it hit. So this trade right here to there. Personally, no trade day for me. Personally, I did not want to touch this, but we did walk you guys through it. Pointed out every single point that could have worked and why I chose not to take some of these trades. So hopefully you guys learned something. Definitely going to keep it a shorter stream today because tomorrow's going to be a longer stream. We're going to be on here early for CPI. Obviously, I want to see the whole thing unfold. I want to see how it develops. Yeah, tomorrow will be a very important day. I bet you today will kind of do more of the same. Once again, what I said about NQ, we'll look at it right here. I said that NQ could potentially, it looked good on this hour, but I said the next hour could potentially fold over and stay within this range. And that is very much what we're seeing. It's not every day where I get a really, really easy read, but today is a really easy read to tell me to avoid. Yeah. Later, Mike. Yeah, I'm gonna hop off too, honestly. I think it's a good stream. I'm gonna upload this, get this on YouTube. So anyone have any last questions? Just real quick. Do less is always a great strategy. 10,000%. Agreed. So any questions, anybody? We'll hop off. Let me know if you need anything. I'll throw this up on YouTube so you can check it out. But I just walked you through the levels I look at. Today was a great example of a lot of things you want to avoid. If you don't know what to avoid in your trading system, you got to study it. You got to test it. You just got to look at the charts, back test stuff, because there are certain setups that will fail more often than not, and there's certain clues that setups will fail. So yeah, without anything else, I'm gonna hop off, get this uploaded, and yeah, take care. Take it easy, guys. Later.